Well, our next guest is well known for her popular podcast and her media career, and is now using her platform to discuss caring for loved ones and, I suppose, the emotional toll that some carers, probably all carers, go through.
With us now is Louise McSharry. Good morning, Louise. It's lovely to have you here alive, because I went to Primavera with you last week. Thank you for putting it on Instagram so that I could be at the festival.
You're welcome.
You're welcome.
Doing the Lord's work.
She got you. Do you know what? It's all research, right?
Yes, absolutely.
This is all research, because obviously with the podcast, you got to go, you got to experience these
to stay connected to what people are doing. You know,
like it's a part of work, really.
Absolutely,
isn't it?
yes. That's what I tell my children. Anyway.
Well, to be fair, you could do, because your podcast, you could do whatever the hell you want. Catch Up with Louise McSharry. It's been going for a few years now.
Yeah.
Hugely popular, having a ball.
Yeah, it's great. Like I say we. I keep saying we. I'm like, no, it's just me. It's literally just me. Well, I have a brilliant team of contributors, of course. But yeah, I just released the 300th episode, which is really exciting. I'm just so grateful to live in a time where your career can take a turn. You can feel a little bit kind of maybe disenfranchised with the media industry, and you can create something yourself and it can be your career. I've been so lucky.
Is there an area with the podcast, whenever you can go any direction, that you are trying to focus on individual or part that you get the biggest kick out of?
Well, I do 3 episodes a week, and the idea is that I'm catching people up on what's going on. So, Monday is news. So I have a focus. Wednesday is entertainment. I have a focus. On the Friday, it's an interview, so I can go any direction. And when a Friday interview hits, that's really exciting. Like when I get someone really good and we have a really good conversation and I know that people are going to love it or that it's going to be useful. I love if it's like, I know it's a valuable conversation that people are going to benefit from. I get a real thrill out of that, yeah.
The kind of nature of the because I always love your take on entertainment, pop culture, because there's no, like Caroline O'Donoghue was here earlier on, and things that people look down on, we love. Yeah. It's like, what is it? Cheesier the better. This is fantastic.
Yeah, give me trash.
Give
all
me
day,
as much
day.
trash as you possibly can.
And then occasionally I'll dip into the highbrow, but
Yeah, but everything is equal. So when it comes to so much of entertainment is getting caught up in politics now, which it is. Like we know that Trump is in the White House, so you can't look at politics over there anymore for the right. They have to look at Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni and be like, okay, so this is our next, the culture wars, or what are we looking at? They do intermix a lot for you, right?
Massively. And recently it's been really interesting, particularly with Kneecap and their journey and what's been going on with them. I've covered that on the news episode. I've covered it in the entertainment episode. It moves back and forth. And there are so many stories now that do move back and forth or just cross, or I find myself going, I actually don't know which episode to put this in. Is it news? Is it entertainment? Because it could be both, because there is just so much mix between the political and the cultural now.
Unbelievable.
Listen, you're amazing at the podcast. You're so open in everything you discuss as well. For you just talked about America there. You grew up for a number of years in America, moved back to Ireland again, but you went back to your home. Was it Chicago you grew up in? You went back there. And
suburbs of Chicago.
A trauma tour.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose that was me being a bit tongue-in-cheek about doing something that was a little bit nerve-wracking for me. I hadn't been back to Chicago. I moved there when I was 7, moved back to this part of the world when I was 15. And, my family changed completely. I moved over there with my biological mom. She was an alcoholic. She wasn't able to take care of us. I ended up being adopted by my aunt and uncle while we were there, and that's who are my parents now. If I'm talking about my mom and dad, that's who I'm talking about. But I hadn't been back there since I was 15. I hadn't been back to any of the places that, there's loads of good memories there as well, but there are a lot of, really troubling things that happened to me there that I experienced there as a child. And I think when you have that kind of thing, sometimes as you get older, you can start to question your memories and kind of wonder if you're remembering things accurately. So going back to the places and seeing things were as I remembered them. This thing that I think is around this corner, that I'm remembering from 30 years ago is there. That gave me the confidence to trust my other memories. And I think that helps you to kind of make peace with things as well, when you can kind of touch down on, yes, that happened. And doing it, in November, I was really trying to get in on my mom's memory, because my mom unfortunately has early onset Alzheimer's disease, and, she's disappearing the juror that we knew is disappearing, unfortunately. And I was hoping that maybe she'd be triggered or have some memories triggered if we went, and she'd be able to kind of fill in some gaps for me. Now that didn't work out. It's too late for that, unfortunately. But it was still really great to be there with her and to have that time with her. I mean, any time I spend with her now feels extra valuable.
Because your mum, she's so young.
Mm-hmm. She's 61.
61 years old.
Yeah.
And her Alzheimer's has progressed. Mm-hmm. Obviously, in the national conversation over the past week, it has been how people are treated when they need extra care.
Yeah.
And the undercover work that Primetime have done has been unbelievable. Your mum is at home. Mm-hmm. Your dad's doing fantastic work. You're all involved. But you must be thinking of a time when maybe you won't be able for it. Seeing what happened last week play out. What was that
I mean,
like
the thing about caring, and I've been working with Little on their campaign with Family Carers Ireland, and I've really learned so much, is that caring for family members happens across a huge spectrum. So in our family, we're really lucky. My mom is 61. That's horrendous. It's horrendous to watch someone, deal with Alzheimer's at that early age. And she was in her 50s when she was diagnosed. But the advantage that comes with that is that my dad is also young. So he's able to care for her. If they were older, it would be a very different situation. We support him as much as we can. And, we all play a role. But equally, if they were older, we would be older and maybe we wouldn't be able to support as much. And then, of course, there are people who have children who need care from the moment that they're born, who their entire life with their child is based on care. And that's an entirely different experience. There are so many different challenges that family carers face across such a broad spectrum. And honestly, they are really just not being supported enough. And that's why funding an organisation like Family Carers Ireland, who do offer support, vital support, both from a kind of, a respite perspective or like actually giving you caring hours, to advocacy, to making sure that the carers themselves are supported through support groups and other ways. It's absolutely vital.
It's interesting. There's some research has come out in this. Little's research showing that 70% of carers feel overwhelmed and burnt out. I'm surprised it's only 70%.
So was I.
Because it's a full-time job. It's like caring for yourself, a lot of people feel burnt out.
Yeah.
But for two people, it's just so difficult.
I felt the exact same. I was surprised that the number was as low as it was. And I'm grateful for it. Jesus, you don't want people to feel that way. No. But, I know for us, it's caring for my mom, but it's also caring for my dad who's caring for my mom because, he is living with someone who doesn't make conversation anymore. Do you know what I mean? And I know that adjusting to kind of being in a situation with my mom where I had to be comfortable with things being quiet or with her not being able to do things that she used to be able to do, like that's a challenge in itself, but that's not my life. Like that's my dad's entire life. And then, you've got people who say are caring for profoundly disabled children who are not only dealing with the challenges of actually caring for them and what that means for their life, but also, all the emotion that comes with having a child who has those kinds of needs. And, a lot of the time, I think there's a lot of preemptive grief. And yeah, it's really complex stuff. And we should be caring for carers in a much bigger way, I think.
We all know that family carers save the Exchequer billions because of the work that they do at home. And that for years they've been ignored in budgets. That money went up a little bit last year, but that it had been ignored. Nothing had been going up. So the work that they do is quite literally vital because there'd be no one there to care for them.
Yeah.
But when you get landed in that sort of a situation, as you say, someone's child needs care, or like your mum in her 50s, like the shock to the system must be something that takes you by surprise, the grief that you feel.
Yeah. I mean, it's heartbreaking. Like, there's nothing... I think most people are familiar with Alzheimer's at kind of a surface level. And I think we all probably are on the same page with thinking that that's something, God, like, I hope that's not anything I ever experience in my life. Because you can see how heartbreaking it is. The idea that someone is physically there, but not mentally there the way that they used to be, that their personality potentially is changing dramatically. We're really lucky that actually hasn't happened with my mom. She's still a real, like a kind and gentle person. But for some people, the personality takes a complete 180. The basis of your relationship changes. You're grieving someone while they're still there. It's really difficult. It's really difficult. And I think it's going to be years and years and years I mean, the thing about Alzheimer's is that it's a finite situation. Do you know what I mean? It won't go on forever. It's only going in one direction. And eventually what's happening at a kind of mental and emotional level will become a physical problem. And eventually the person will die. That's it. But, you know, there will be years of processing after that as well, because it is so complex.
With your social media, you've publicised a lot of this, your mum's story as well. Is it something, like, did you discuss this with her to be able to try and, you know, use this platform to educate people?
Yeah, absolutely. Quite early on, I can't remember, it came up somehow in my work. I think someone had asked me to do something, and fortunately it was early on enough that I was able to, you know, talk about it with her and with my dad. And they both feel very strongly that the more we talk about this stuff, the better. You know, Alzheimer's, there's a lot of misunderstanding about what it is, particularly early onset, how it can present itself, what it means for a family. And they believe that if more people know about it, it's better. And I absolutely share that belief. So I'm delighted to have the opportunity to do it.
Know more about in what way?
Well, I think, you know, I would have thought Alzheimer's is about memory. And it is about memory, but it's also about cognition. So, you know, simple tasks become impossible. Setting the table, making a cup of tea, things that people have done hundreds of thousands of times over the course of their lifetime, all of a sudden aren't possible anymore. So it, you know, people would often ask me, does she still know who you are? And I'm like, well, yeah, but like, she doesn't really talk, and she can't make herself a cup of tea. And, you know, it's so, there's so much more to it than just memory. Yeah.
I just remember seeing pictures of you and your mum at Coldplay that time, and it was incredible because she loved them.
Yeah.
And it kicked something, and you had a great time.
Music,
yeah, we
still
did.
making. You're still making.
Yeah, it was amazing. Yeah, but I would just, if I could just say, it's Heart of Gold Day today, and if you can buy yourself a little Heart of Gold badge at Lidl today, you'll be contributing money to Family Carers Ireland and the really valuable work that they do.
Look at how happy she was there.
Yeah, it was really
beautiful
special.
Thing to have.
Thank you, Warner Music, for making that happen, by the way,
listen.
because that was like, I will never forget that. My entire family was jealous.
Just like a song triggers like that.
Oh, music is so powerful.
Yeah.
So powerful.
Louise McSharry, as ever, great to have you with us.
Thank you.
Thanks so much for coming in.
And continued success with the podcast as well.